Chapter 1. The Boy Who Lived. Mr. and Mrs. Dursley live at number 4 Privet Drive. They are a perfectly normal family. They do not like anything that is different or strange, and they hate mysterious things most of all. They prefer a life that is calm, ordinary, and without any surprises. Mr. Dursley is the director of a large company. He is a very fat man with a very short neck. He has a large mustache. Mrs. Dursley, his wife, is thin and has blonde hair. Her neck is extremely long. She uses her long neck to look over the fence in her garden. She likes to watch her neighbors. She is a gossip. The Dursleys have a young son. His name is Dudley. The Dursleys think Dudley is the perfect son. The Dursleys have everything they want, but they also have a secret. Mrs. Dursley has a sister. Her name is Mrs. Potter. But Mrs. Dursley pretends she does not have a sister. She pretends she does not have a sister because her sister does not live a normal, ordinary life. Mrs. Potter and her husband are very strange and very different. They are very un-Dursley. Like the Dursleys, the Potters have a young son too. But the Dursleys do not want their son Dudley to be around the Potter's son. The Dursleys wake up one Tuesday morning. It seems like a perfectly normal Tuesday morning. But the day is about to change. It is about to become very strange and mysterious. The Dursleys hate strange and mysterious things. While driving to work, Mr. Dursley sees the first strange thing of the day. Near his house, he sees a cat reading a map. Or at least he thinks he sees a cat reading a map. His eyes must be playing games with him. Later, while he is waiting in traffic, he notices many people wearing strange clothes. They are wearing colorful cloaks and capes. Who wears colorful cloaks like that at this time of the year? He thinks to himself. It must be a stupid new fashion that the young people are following. But he notices that some of the strange people are not young at all. They are very old. But the traffic moves forward and Mr. Dursley forgets about all the strange people he sees. His day at work is very normal. He yells at many people, he makes some important calls, and then he decides to go across the street and have lunch. When he is about to enter his favorite bakery to order a sandwich, he notices another group of people dressed in strange clothes. They are talking together in a group. They seem very excited about something. Mr. Dursley passes by them as he is leaving, and this is what he hears.
The Potters. You're right. That's what I heard too.
Yes, their son, Harry. Mr. Dursley cannot believe what he hears. He becomes very scared. He runs back to his office. There are many people named Potter, he thinks, and he is not sure if his nephew is named Harry anyway. He has never seen the boy. He wants to call his wife, but then he decides it is a bad idea. He doesn't want to make his wife upset. She always gets upset when she talks about her sister. It is very difficult for Mr. Dursley to concentrate at work. When it is 5 p.m., he leaves work to go home. As he is leaving his building, he does not see the small man who is standing in front of him. Mr. Dursley walks right into him. "Sorry," says Mr. Dursley. The man he walks into is a small old man wearing a violet cloak. He does not seem angry at all that Mr. Dursley almost knocks him to the ground. On the contrary, he smiles a big smile and says in a very squeaky voice, "Don't be sorry, sir. Nothing could make me upset today. Be happy, because you know who is gone. Even muggles like you, sir, should celebrate. This is a happy, happy day." Then the tiny old man hugs Mr. Dursley and walks away. Mr. Dursley has no idea what has just happened. He does not know the old man, and he does not know what a muggle is either. Mr. Dursley is beginning to hate strange things even more. Mr. Dursley drives home and is very surprised to see the same cat he saw earlier in the morning. The cat is sitting on his garden wall, looking at him. "Shoo, go away," he yells at the cat. The cat does not move. It just sits there on the wall, looking at Mr. Dursley as he enters his house. Mr. Dursley tries to act normal around his wife, but it is quite difficult. He and his wife and son have a normal, ordinary dinner. They put little Dudley to bed, and Mr. Dursley has time to sit and watch the news on the TV. What a strange thing. Bird watchers have noticed very strange behavior by owls all over the country today. Owls are normally only active at night, but today many owls have been seen flying in every direction since this morning. Experts cannot explain this strange behavior. Very, very odd behavior indeed. And now the weather with Jim. Is it going to rain owls later tonight? "Well, Ted," answers the weatherman, "I certainly hope not. But that is not the only strange thing happening today. People from all over the country have been calling me and telling me they have been seeing falling stars. Thousands and thousands of shooting stars falling from the sky." Mr. Dursley sits frozen in his chair. Shooting stars all over Britain? Owls behaving strangely? Mysterious people wearing strange clothes and talking about the Potters? At that moment, Mrs. Dursley comes into the living room with 2 cups of tea. Mr. Dursley thinks he has no option. He must say something to his wife. Petunia, dear, have you spoken to your sister recently?" As expected, Mrs. Dursley looks shocked and angry. Remember, she normally pretends she does not even have a sister. "No," she says angrily. "Why?" "Oh, nothing. Just the strange things happening on the news. Owls, shooting stars. And there were funny-looking people in town today. I just thought maybe it had something to do with, people like her." Mrs. Dursley has an angry look on her face.
Their son,
continues Mr. Dursley,
would be around Dudley's age now, right?
What's his name again? Howard, isn't it?
His name is Harry.
What a nasty, common name that is, answers Mrs. Dursley.
Of course, Harry.
Mr. Dursley's heart begins to beat very quickly.
Yes, I agree. A terribly common name.
He does not say another word about the topic, and they both go to bed. While Mrs. Dursley is in the bathroom, Mr. Dursley looks out the window into the front garden. The cat is still there on the wall. It is looking down the street, like it is waiting for something. The cat sits on the wall for a long time, like a statue. It does not move. It does not look in any direction, except towards the corner of the street at the end of Privet Drive. Finally, very late at night, a man appears on the corner. He appears suddenly and silently. The cat sees him, and its tail begins to move from side to side slowly. The man is tall, thin, and very old. His hair and beard are long and the color of silver. He is wearing long robes and a purple cloak. His eyes are bright blue behind his glasses, which are sitting on his long and crooked nose. His name is Albus Dumbledore. The old man looks towards the Dursleys' house and laughs when he sees the cat.
Oh, I should have known, he says.
He reaches into his pocket and takes out a device that looks like a cigarette lighter. He holds it up in the air and clicks it. The street light that is closest to him goes out with a little pop sound. He clicks the device again, and another street light pops out. He clicks the device 12 times. The only lights that remain are the two small lights of the cat's eyes. Dumbledore puts the device back into his pocket and walks towards the house. He sits down next to the cat. Then he speaks.
Fancy seeing you here, Professor McGonagall.
He turns to look at the cat, but the cat is not there. Instead, there is a woman there. She has on glasses, and she is wearing a green cloak, too.
How did you know it was me? She asks.
My dear Professor, there is only one cat that would sit without moving, like a statue.
You would feel like a statue if you had been sitting on a wall all day, says Professor McGonagall.
You have been here all day. You have not been celebrating? I have seen a dozen parties on my way here. Professor McGonagall makes an angry sound with her mouth.
Oh yes, everyone's celebrating, that's true,
she says impatiently.
They should be more careful. Even the Muggles have noticed there is something strange happening. It is on their news programs. Owls behaving strangely, shooting stars. Even the Muggles are not completely stupid. Of course they were going to notice something. Shooting stars in Kent. That was probably Daedalus Diggle who did that. He is not the smartest of us, is he? You cannot be upset with them, says Dumbledore. We have not had many things to celebrate for the past 11 years.
I know that, says Professor McGonagall, irritated. But we should be more careful. People are out in the streets in bright cloaks and talking openly, and the Muggles can hear them. Can you imagine what would happen if the Muggles discovered who we are, on the same day that you-know-who seems to have disappeared? Do you think he is really gone, Dumbledore?
Please call him by his real name, Voldemort, complains Dumbledore. No one will be scared of him if he is called you-know-who. And yes, it appears that he is gone. It appears they finally stopped him.
Oh, it is so tragic, cries Professor McGonagall. Everyone is saying that last night you-know-who, oh, all right, Voldemort went to Godric's Hollow. He went to find the Potters. The rumor is that Lily and James Potter are... they are saying that they are dead.
Dumbledore closes his eyes with sadness.
Lily and James, I can't believe it. I don't want to believe it. Oh, Albus.
Dumbledore puts a hand on her shoulder to comfort her. Professor McGonagall continues.
That's not all. They say that Voldemort tried to kill the Potter's son, Harry, but he couldn't. He couldn't kill that little boy. No one knows why or how, but they say that when he couldn't kill Harry Potter, Voldemort's power somehow disappeared. And that's why he is gone.
Dumbledore nods his head, agreeing with her.
So it's true. Voldemort was so powerful, but how did Harry survive? We don't know, answers Dumbledore.
We may never know. Dumbledore takes his watch from his pocket and looks at the time. Hagrid is late. He told you I was going to come here, didn't he?
Yes, says Professor McGonagall. So, are you going to tell me why you came here of all places?
I have come to bring Harry Potter to his aunt and uncle. They are the only family he has now.
What? Yells Professor McGonagall. You are leaving Harry with these people? I have been watching them all day. They are the worst people. Harry can't live here.
It is the best place for him, says Dumbledore. His aunts and uncle will be able to explain everything to him when he is elder. I have a letter for them.
A letter? Says Professor McGonagall, complaining. Do you think a letter will be able to explain everything? These people do not understand him. Harry will be famous, you know. He will be a legend. Every child in our world will know his name.
Exactly, says Dumbledore seriously. He will not remember any of this. He is too young. It will be better for him to grow up away from all of this until he is ready.
Professor McGonagall thinks for a moment. Yes, you're right, of course. But how is Harry getting here?
Hagrid is bringing him.
Can you trust Hagrid with something as important as this?
I would trust Hagrid with my life, answers Dumbledore.
Suddenly, from a distance, they can hear a low sound. The sound grows louder and louder until there is a loud roar in the sky. a huge motorcycle falls out of the air and lands on the road in front of them. The motorcycle is huge, but the man riding the motorcycle is twice as tall as a normal man and 5 times as wide. His hair is wild, bushy, and black. His beard covers most of his face. In his vast, muscular arms, he is holding something covered in blankets. "Hagrid, it is good to see you," says Dumbledore. "I have him, sir. Here he is." "Did you have any problems, Hagrid?" asks Dumbledore. "No, sir. The house was almost destroyed, but I rescued him before the Muggles arrived. He fell asleep while we were flying over Bristol." Dumbledore and Professor McGonagall look at what is wrapped in the blankets. There is a baby boy. He is asleep. On his little forehead, under part of his black hair, there is a strange cut, shaped like a bolt of lightning. "That is where Voldemort," says Dumbledore. "He will have that scar forever. He may not like it, but he might need it when he grows up. It is time to say goodbye." Dumbledore takes Harry and places him on the ground in front of the Dursleys' front door. Hagrid leans over the boy and gives him a scratchy kiss with his big beard. There are huge tears of sadness falling from his eyes. Dumbledore takes the letter from his pocket and places it inside the blankets next to little Harry Potter. "Well," says Dumbledore, "that's that. We must leave now before the Muggles discover us. Goodbye, Hagrid. Professor McGonagall, I guess I will be seeing you soon." Hagrid wipes his eyes with the back of his hand. He climbs onto his huge motorcycle and disappears into the night. Professor McGonagall blows her nose. She is crying too. Dumbledore walks to the end of the street. He takes out his device and presses the button. 12 balls of light fly back to the street lamps. Before he walks away, he can see a cat walking around the corner of a house across the street. And in front of number 4 Privet Drive, he can see a small pile of blankets. "Good luck, Harry, until we meet again," says Dumbledore. He turns around and disappears into the darkness. On this street, the most normal and most common street in the country, where everyone hates strange and mysterious things, there is the strangest and most mysterious thing of all. Harry Potter, the boy who lived.